As the government moves to bring in laws banning gang patches in public, one Black Power chapter has revealed plans to stop wearing them have been discussed for decades. Genesis Te Kuru-White, a leader of Black Power movement Whakatane, invited Samantha Hayes to talk about his surprising journey to make the patch a thing of the past.
As the light fades, a fire is lit and we step into the river. Genesis Te Kuru-White, known as TK, has invited us here to meet members of Black Power movement Whakatane and his whānau. Before we talk though, he wants to say a karakia, a prayer, to safely welcome us onto his whenua. TK is the son of Paura White, one of the Bay of Plenty chapter's leaders across 3 violent decades. His dad was convicted twice for manslaughter and spent time in prison.
Back in the early 90s, the whakaaro, the thinking and the mentality, rape, pillage, plunder. Take what you can, give nothing back. If you're standing in my way, I'm going to walk all over you until I get it.
Is there still an element of that today?
In our space, I can only speak for our space, no.
Hand on heart?
Fist on the heart.
Many of TK's father's generation are now dead. But 3 decades ago, they made a 100-year roadmap, recognising Black Power needed to change.
Sitting right where you're sitting now, he said to me, my brothers, my cousins, all of us, that one day the patch would become something of the past. And the Black Power movement of the future would be walking around in suits and ties, knowing who they are, knowing where they come from, highly educated, sophisticated. That's going to be the Black Power movement of the future.
TK says he prospected from the age of 6 and was patched at 16. It's taken time, but now in his 30s, he's striving to embody his father's vision.
How many years have you been on campus now?
3 years.
3 years?
3 years, yep.
And how many other Black Power members do you know that are on campus?
To my knowledge, none.
None? Just you?
Just myself.
TK was kicked out of school at 14. He has ADHD and admits tertiary education was challenging. And there were mixed reactions to him being on campus.
I definitely felt it.
What did you feel?
I felt, who's this? What is this fella doing here? But no one actually ever come directly to me.
Do you think that they didn't bring it to you directly because there was a fear to do that? Or do you think that was because that you came into this place respectfully, without a patch on, and you were getting on with being a student?
Perhaps a bit of both.
It's an honest answer.
Genesis Te Kuru, TK White.
When TK graduated, members of Black Power, the Mongrel Mob and the Filthy Few were there to celebrate his success.
I achieved what I set out to do, which was come to this space and to show that if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Gang patches are banned on the university campus, but as a compromise, they were held rather than worn.
So it's important to be able to acknowledge the achievements of our people, or those of us who wear patches like to do that, the same way a soldier would, or the same way a doctor might.
Ceremonial dress,
Absolutely.
you mean? Okay.
Absolutely.
And that means being patched up?
Yeah.
Wearing the regalia?
Yes, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a big achievement.
Well, you could argue because it might intimidate other people who are here for their graduation.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a fair point. But again, you know, this is an opportunity for people to see these fellas are people just like us.
In keeping with his father's vision to make the patch a thing of the past, TK no longer wears his.
So you've put down your patch now for the future?
No.
You won't wear it anymore?
We haven't put them down, we've elevated them. We've elevated them to a state of top, and they are there to serve as a reminder, as a connector to our past. We've put them away in a safe place. Okay. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Not all members are moving in the same direction or at the same pace, but TK won't force them to. He's proud of his own achievements and the example he's setting for the generation that will come next.
On our first show on Saturday, we brought you the story of Genesis Te Kuru-White, TK, a leader of Black Power movement Whakatane who defies many gang stereotypes. He doesn't wear a patch, has a degree and tutors students at Waikato University. Tonight we hear why he thinks the government's tough on gangs approach will be damaging for children and families, and why the Justice Minister says he's okay with limiting gang members' human rights.
Genesis Te Kuru-White was born into gang life. His father was one of the long-term leaders of Black Power movement Bay of Plenty during its early years at war with the mongrel mob. Patched since 16, TK still heavily involved with Black Power movement Whakatane, but is trying to shake off the label of gang member.
I actually make very, very clear to people that no, I'm not a gang member. I whakapapa the Tini o Meketu movement.
Okay, so you're not a gang member, but you are the leader of Black Power movement.
There are many rangatira in our space.
So yes, he's still part of the gang, but says it's his whānau. And he's put away his patch in a move in step with his late father's vision.
My father would say to us, the patches will become a thing of the past. And the Black Power movement member of the future will be walking around with a suit and a tie, occupying spaces like this.
Genesis Te Kuru-White.
When TK recently graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree from Waikato University, members of several rival gangs were on campus to celebrate his achievement. The day was peaceful, but new laws progressing swiftly through Parliament would make wearing or even holding gang patches or insignia in public like this illegal, punishable by a fine and up to 6 months in prison.
If these policies become law, it's going to be very damaging for families. And I think that's what's important to understand here, for families, not gang members, for families. For mum, dad, brother, sister, nanny, koro, uncle, auntie. Yeah, you're not dealing with monsters here, you're dealing with people.
Black Power members I spoke to believed around 50% of the membership would comply with the patch ban, but still feel it's important to wear them for ceremonial purposes, like graduations, tangihanga and funerals.
Yeah, well, we're going to be limiting their human rights, but we're also reflecting on the fact that people have the right to be able to go around their business without fear and intimidation.
Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith wants to go further too, giving police the power to stop gang members from associating or communicating for 7 days, and the courts the power to stop gang members convicted of serious crimes associating or communicating for up to 3 years, even if they're related.
You really think you could keep a brother and a sister or a mother and a father away from each other for 3 years?
But the Justice Minister says there are exceptions to the non-consorting law.
It's been defined in the legislation, and it's children, whangai, children. There's a list, but it doesn't go forever, and that's because we need to have an effective non-consorting order regime. But the close family members are excluded.
The definition of close family is where this new legislation may face increased scrutiny. But the Minister is standing his ground while gangs are prepared to do the same.
We've lasted this long, and we're still here. And this isn't the first time that someone's come along and told us that they're going to come down hard on our people. We're survivors, we're resilient. We're also very, very clever too.
Resilient and clever, 2 words that will give the government plenty to ponder as it moves to pass the new legislation into law by year's end.